Data Trader Pro again for your nightly market wrap. Today is January the 13th, 2016, and what a day it was. We had a big sell-off today. As you can see from the indices, between a little over 2 and getting close to 4, certainly over 3.5%. NASDAQ, all those high tech Momo flying stocks that have been propping up the market for months now, sold off. I believe Netflix was down about 8% today. Others were down similar amounts. So yeah, real sell today. We started off with a neutral range day reading on our day type indicator, and you can see, and that's based on the first 45 minutes of trade. So you can see from open till 10:15 roughly, up down, pretty much looked like a neutral chop day. And there were some things in the indicators that were, like the volatility from the last couple of days was starting to decline. So it looked like we might have a reversal, but instead setup failed. ES and the other index futures made highs overnight in pre-market and never could touch them in the first hour of trade, and we just headed down. So the dollar-weighted buying pressure continued down all day and closed. Actually, that's an extreme number, so there may be some capitulation selling here. That's about the lowest reading we ever get. I think we've had one of those readings this year, and that was back in August. So, that's there was a lot of selling of the high-tech Momo flyers, and this is an index dollar-weighted volume, basically, of key market-moving stocks. So these are getting sold today. No surprise. This is at its lows, and the question is whether that continues. Huge range day today. You notice the meters pegged. It was 50 SPX points. I think from the pre-market high to our bottom today was well over 60 ES points. So that's a big range. So it's a 3% range basically on ES in the day. The DTP MCC, which is our version of the intraday McClellan oscillator, pretty much at its lows. This is about as low as it ever gets. The number's not directly equivalent, since it's our own formulation. It's not directly equivalent to the one that Tom McClellan does, but it's on a relative basis, this is about as low as it gets. Minus 230, minus 240 area is about as low as it gets. So again, there may be capitulation. We're going to look for this to turn up from lows. If not, we envision more selling to come. Net issues also about as low as they get. Net volume trended down all day. This was a good indicator to see once it started breaking these levels. It started out neutral, and then it started to break, and it continued down. So that was your cue to get out of longs. If you took any speculative longs, hunting a potential bottom setup, you would watch the net volume and watch the net issues, and as they kept trending down, you should have just said, well, failed setup, and get out. So tomorrow is always another day. There's always more opportunities in the market. Breadth was started out actually, and you'll see by the high-low readings, early in the day. These white triangle markers on the advanced declines and the volumes are actually the high of the day and the low of the day. So we had, quite often on a bearish day, it turned out to be a bearish trend day down. This will start out at 0 or minus and trend down. We actually started positive, so there was some real potential there for a bounce, a good solid bounce, but it looked like everything happened overnight, and from early in the off the get-go, things just sold off and kept going that way. So NASDAQ trends an extreme and very at odds with Russell trend, which is very bullish. So you know, these indexes don't have to align. I mean, these are exchange wide, right? So this is NYSE, this is NASDAQ combined, not just a single NASDAQ index, and this is Russell index. So, you know, Russell has quite a different makeup of stocks than you know, sort of the big heavy hitters in a lot of these indexes. So, you know, sometimes it does its own thing. Russell hit an extreme today, and actually on the TF futures we had a dip below the 1,000 level, and that 1,000 level is it could be seen as key support. So seeing this, yeah, there's some potential bullishness there. Once Russell hit the lows, it kind of held there and bounced a couple of times and never broke it again. So we'll see. You know, a lot of these things are at extremes now. The advanced decline, the net volume delineator, they're at extremes. So volatility was red for a lot of the day, and then it poked up higher. So, you know, the VIX, the VXV, which is the 3-month version of the VIX, and the VXST all up. When you see them all green, you know, don't try longs on SPX or the indexes generally. Volatility is confirming this move. It actually went red yesterday, but came back and fought back and moved up higher. So that's confirming volatility confirms these 3 volatility indexes. If volatility makes a sudden move lower, you'll see that VXST and then VIX will drop off. So it's a little bit of an early warning. Still high backwardation, meaning the front month VIX future is much higher than the next expiry. So you know, that's helping propel VXX forward to good gains. It's not the only reason. Also, the futures are being bid, but this certainly helps. You'll know when the volatility move is over, when this starts to drop and this starts to drop. So usually volatility will drop the first, and then, you know, or maybe at the same time as VXST, which is the 9-day version of the VIX, and it'll drop very, very quickly. Okay, so let's move on. Yeah, let's go to the market map, which will give us advanced declines and highs, lows on all the important areas of the market. This is NYSE. Advanced decline was quite bearish. NASDAQ combined was quite bearish. S&P very. NASDAQ 100, this basically means that every stock in the NASDAQ 100 index was being sold. There were no gainers today. The whole index was sold. You know, the Dow, basically the same thing. Every stock in the Dow was sold. You know, and a huge number of the Russell stocks were sold. So yeah, and the, you know, the bond space, safe haven, you know, trade, rush to protection, volatility space up, XIV, which is inverse volatility, down, obviously. So yeah, so what are the potential bright spots? Well, SP 500 group TRIN, bullish or slightly bullish. The TRIN on the Russell, as mentioned earlier, very bullish. TRIN on the Dow, bullish. So, you know, it means some volume is starting to come in on the positive side, on some stocks at least in those indexes, and so we could be seeing the early stages of a turn, but I wouldn't knife catch anything right here. There is a potential setup to fall further, so I would just wait things out right now, I think. I'll tell you about another play coming up fairly soon, but let's start with index ETFs. Yes. Okay. So basically, we had a setup where we had this huge buy the other day, or what we thought was a buy, coming off what then was a local low. Price rose up, it came back and retested, it went up, and then basically this was our today, right? So today pre-market was the high, came up, tried to match the pre-market high, failed. That's usually a bad sign. That's almost always a bad sign. If you can't match the pre-market high in roughly the first hour of trade, that means there's not enough energy in the market. There's not enough willing buyers prepared to take price higher, and the market usually goes down. This turned out to be a small down move, and it looked like there was a correction, and then we just failed and waterfalled. So what have we got now? We've got a fair number of buys around the bottom, or what we believe are buys. We'll see. We use these price levels as demarcations. So 188.60s, that area on SPY. We also had the same on the Qs. We had some big trades come in at the end of the day. Lots of 500,000 volume trades on the Qs, and roughly the same on IWM. So a lot, quite a cluster. IWM, the numbers are around the 150, 160 level. So watch those levels for, we'll be bullish if price can break above and sustain above these levels. Things get more bullish, and potentially you have a good long setup. Potentially we bottomed, but this may just be people covering large shorts from higher, and then the market can continue down. So that's why we use prices, the demarcation levels. We don't want to second guess what's going on. If price is above a large lot institutional buying level, price above is bullish, and if it fails and goes down, then it's even more bearish than we were before. So okay, moving along, because I want to discuss an energy trade. I've been waiting for the big prints to come in USO, and finally we got one today. Oil, if you've been following the oil space, it's been kind of a nauseating roller coaster ride of, almost exclusively downs, but some sharp moves up that immediately get reversed and get resold. So it's been very hard to pick a bottom. There have been a lot of small and medium-sized block trades. I mean, how do you decipher this? It's just a whole pile of stuff going on. Tons and tons of trades, but no real conviction on direction. So we wait. I mentioned in a video a couple of days ago that we're going to wait and hopefully see some large block prints show up, not just all these little guys in the 100,000, 50,000, so on range, but we wanted a big print, and we got one. It's 8.3 million shares, price 909, and another smaller trade, which I guess we can see on the summary page. Did we not click that? Yeah, we're going there. My internet's a bit slow today, so apologies. Having a little bit of a problem here at the house. There we go. Okay, so USO, we'll click to expand, and yeah, so we got at 908, 1.5 million. So we have almost 10 million shares combined here. If we go a little further along, yeah, that's pretty much it. All in the smaller range, all in this way. So these are really the ones to watch. That was the circle, the smaller circle within the bigger circle. So it's really this 908, 909 level that's critical. And if we can sustain trade above that level, I think we'll have a very good bounce, because this is, you're talking about 10 million shares at a little over $9, right? So it's a fair-sized chunk of change, and somebody's going to defend that if that was a buy. So I would imagine USO goes up from here. That's my guess. But again, below that, and things are more bearish, and we'll have another leg down. So don't marry along. Watch this level closely if you're playing USO, or if you're playing a leveraged oil play related. Keep an eye on this level on USO as your reference point. Okay. Volatility space, I haven't really looked at this yet. Yeah, there could be these are kind of trades that you see that propel price along. You know, if things get slowing down, they buy some more and pushes it up, pushes it up, pushes it up. Nothing really that huge yet that would show, you know, selling some, starting to get some, at least for XIV, some bigger prints. But XIV prints aren't nearly the same size as VXX prints. So generally. So yeah, so watch this space, watch this chart, and see if we start to get any really big sells, and it'll usually be right at or near the high of the day. So we had a down move, we had an up move, we may have another burst up, and then we'll look for large block trades there, and we'll know that they should correspond with buys on the index ETFs like SPY, QQQ, and so on. So, and when we get that kind of confirmation, we feel a lot better about going along rather than trying to knife catch and hope and just going down and down and down like we did today. So, okay. I hope that helps, and I think that should cover it for today. Our nightly wrap for Data Trader Pro, January 13th. Very bearish day, but perhaps capitulation and early signs of a turn upwards, at least for a bounce. All right, have a great night, and thanks for joining.